Hello YouTube and welcome to episode number 1 of Drone Talk. Yeah, Drone Talk. This is a new thing I'm going to try out for the year 2020. A lot of you have asked me to do live streams and I do not have the time because I have a day job, I have a family, I have friends, and I have this YouTube channel and yeah, there's no time for a live stream. So what I thought I'd do instead is I'd start this new thing called Drone Talk, where you guys can ask questions, post them below this video, and maybe in a future episode of Drone Talk, I'll refer to your question, show your name, and I'll answer it right here in this video. So in the last 3 months, the question I keep receiving the most is, hey Steve, what's your predictions for the year 2020 with respect to this company or this drone? So in this episode, I'm going to give you all my predictions. Now, let me just classify predictions. Predictions to me are a swag, and that stands for scientific wild ass guess. Yes, that's what you're going to get from me right now. Hey, if they prove to be correct, well then I'm a super genius. If not, you know, I'm just an average guy. All right, here we go. Oh, and let me mention, a lot of the predictions I'm going to make are going to reveal themselves at CES in 2020. So in early January 2020, CES is going to have a lot of the major players and a lot of the secrets are going to come out for the year 2020. So make sure you watch that. Now, the first big drone news for the year 2020 is from Hubsan. Hubsan is making the Hubsan Zeno 2. Now, you all remember the Hubsan Zeno and then the Hubsan Zeno Pro. Well, those drones are massively popular because they don't cost very much and you get quite a bit. And the Hubsan Zeno 2 is pretty amazing. It has a 4K camera at 60 frames per second with a Sony camera sensor that records at 100 megabits per second. That's impressive. It even has a wide aperture for low light filming because I know a lot of you want to film sunsets. Of course, like everybody in the year 2020, you got to boost that range and they're like, hey, we're going to make this here drone have a 4-mile range, 6 kilometers. Flight time, everybody wants flight time in the year 2020 and they're adding 33 minutes of flight time to this drone. Remember when I reviewed the Hubsan Zeno and the Hubsan Zeno Pro, I made fun of the controller because the controller is really plasticky? Well, they must have heard me and everybody else because they put a little display in the controller, so it looks a lot more professional now. And the big news about the Zeno 2 is that it only costs $399 US if you order right now on GearBest. I'll put the link below this video, so go order one right now. If you want to pay $399, they will start shipping in the month of January. So now you're saying, Steve, that's all great. We've seen you review the Hubsan Zeno and the Hubsan Zeno Pro, so what's the great information? What's your prediction? Well, just like the Hubsan Zeno when it came out, it was not fully baked. It had some glitches, some shortcomings, and it took about 4 to 6 months until it was perfect. And then they made the Zeno Pro, which, was about 99% pretty darn good. And now at the Zeno 2, well, I predict that once again, there's going to be some glitches. It's not going to be fully baked because they're trying to get this product out really quick for 2020. So you might see at first a few reviews on YouTube where people love it, and other people will focus on one minor little glitchy thing and start calling it a bad drone. But either case, watch out for the Zeno 2. It's going to get better as the year 2020 progresses and Hubsan fixes any glitches. It's standard for drones. There's always glitches. All right, the next drone a lot of people are looking forward to in the year 2020 is from ZEROZERO Robotics, and it's called the V-Copter Falcon. It is a drone with only 2 motors. Everybody's excited about it because they're boasting a 50-minute flight time. It has a 4K camera at 30 frames per second with a gimbal. Yep, they even threw in the 4-mile range, which is 7 kilometers, so that's pretty far. And this is why it's pretty popular, because if you buy it today, it will cost you $100 to pre-order it, and then you just pay an extra $5.99 when it's time for them to ship it to you, and that's it. So it's $700 total for this here V-Copter Falcon. All right, so what's my prediction about the V-Copter Falcon? Well, let me tell you, I have been in contact with the company and they do not give a lot of answers. If you ask any questions about the camera, they will give you pretty much zero response and just say, oh, we're still working on stuff. So when a company comes back and they can't tell you any specs on everything and they can't answer your questions, that means they really don't have it finalized. So on their website, they say they're going to ship it in February of 2020. That will not happen. That's my prediction. You will not see this here copter, as they call it. You will not see it shipped until maybe July or September of 2020, because these guys are nowhere close to finishing this product. Sure, you're going to see it fly around, and you have seen it fly around in videos, but that is just the flight dynamics indoors. Outdoors, it needs GPS and it has to handle a little bit differently with wind. So they have to work out those tweaks with only 2 motors running, which means there's a lot of technology going on to get the gearing just right. A lot of bicopters have difficulty flying backwards, and I don't even know if this one can fly backwards. So I'm going to put the link below where you can pre-order it if the pre-order is still on. Check it out. If you want to drop $100 US and pre-order it, take your chances. It does say it's refundable, so you should be able to get your money back. I put $100 down because I'm curious, and I've told the company I'm kind of skeptical about their drone. So, hey, prove me wrong, V-Copter. The next big drone in the year 2020 is the one right here. This is the Evolve, and Xdynamics is now making the Evolve 2, and they're going to show it off at CES. So let me just show you this thing. It's massive in size. It's got a carbon fiber body. It's got a gorgeous camera that shoots 4K at 30 frames per second, but it has an awesome lens system, so you get really the best of photo quality and video quality with this. It flies super smooth. It's got really cool sensors on the bottom, optical flow and LiDAR, and it has the most amazing controller. If you watch my reviews, you'll see the controller. It's got like 2 screens. It looks very, very, very amazing. The problem with this drone is it's very, very big, and it's very, very expensive. So when Xdynamics made this, they did not make it for the pimply kid down the street who flies a Mavic 2 Pro. You know, they didn't want a drone like everything else, so they didn't want to compete with the Mavic line and DJI. They just wanted to make their own drone, what they wanted to fly, with really high quality, and that's what you get. So if you try to compare this to a DJI product like a Mavic, you can't compare it because it's like, this is awesome in construction. DJI drones are mass produced, but they are much more practical for the average consumer than this is. This is for the enthusiast. So, what are my predictions on the Evolve 2? Well, it's going to have a carbon fiber body because that's their selling feature, and you are going to get a really, really cool remote. They may cut the cost, but I don't think the cost is going to come way down. You're going to get a much better camera. You'll get better sensors on the bottom. Might get more range. So all I can say for the Evolve 2 is stay tuned for CES and you will see videos of it there. All right, this next drone is already on the market and you can purchase it today if you wish. It is the Skydio 2, and I'll give you my predictions about this and the company for the year 2020. Now, after I did my review of the Skydio 2, a lot of people wrote and said they're not going to buy this drone because it's not foldable, it has a short flight range, it has a short flight time, and yeah, it's got some other things too where you can't turn the autonomous features off, so you can't really fly it the way you want to fly it. It flies like it wants to fly. It doesn't matter if you use the controller, it's still the same idea, unless you're way up in the air. But other than that, this is the best, in my opinion, as I said in my review, this is the best autonomous drone on the market right now. Sure, the year 2020, somebody could make a better one, but for an autonomous drone that has obstacle avoidance, this thing is super smart, and for a lot of people, they would love it. But like I always say, you kind of need this drone and another drone to have the complete picture. If you just have this drone, you're going to have a lot of fun, but there's certain things you won't be able to do, which you can do with another drone. For the simple fact that you can't turn the autonomous features off. So you're kind of stuck there. But what's Skydio going to do in the year 2020? Well, let me tell you my predictions. First up, the Skydio 2 is going to get way better. They're going to add waypoints. So waypoints is going to make this thing really cool. I'm looking forward to that. Not only that, they're going to do a lot more enhancements. The camera is a little bit on the weak side. If you own a Skydio 2, you'll notice that the exposure and the white balance is totally off, but that's normal. When DJI puts out a drone, a lot of times they always get the exposure and the white balance wrong, and they have to tweak it after a while. So Skydio will tweak all that, and it will be a pretty good camera after that. My prediction is also this. Since it is an autonomous drone, it sort of lacks the ability that I can pick something out of the air. You know how on a DJI drone I can fly around and I can pick out anything, draw a box around it, and then tell the drone to do something, circle it? So you can't do that on the Skydio. Not yet anyways. As well, I could see Skydio updating the beacon and the controller so they work together. Right now they don't work together. So in other words, what I'm getting at is, say I took the beacon and I stuck it on a dog, say I had a dog, stuck it on the dog and I wanted to film my dog and have the drone follow the dog autonomously. That's all great, but if the dog takes off, you know, I'm sort of lost. There goes my drone. So I need to have control, master control of it. So what if I could have master control of it with this while the beacon is on something else? You see where I'm going? Anyways, that's my prediction with Skydio. Now you're probably saying, well, that's all great, Steve, but the Skydio is only sold in Canada and the US, so why even bother? We're not that interested. It's a little peanut company. This is true. So Skydio will probably have to get people with deep financial pockets, and then Skydio will become international. But I can't see that happening in the year 2020 because they're already a little bit behind the ball. So maybe the year 2021, we'll see Skydio become Skydio International. And folks in Europe, you can buy yourself a Skydio 2, which by then they might be working on a Skydio 3. Next up is Autel and the Evo 2. Well, this is the Evo 1, not the Evo 2. So in 2020, the prediction is that Autel is going to come out with a new drone. That drone is supposed to be the Evo 2, which is much larger than this and will have an even better camera and more sensors. So the Evo 2, just to tell you really quick, you have 2 sensors in the front, you have 2 sensors on the top, you have 2 sensors on the bottom, 2 sensors on the back. It is basically the Evo 2 is a copy of the Mavic 2 Pro. So Autel started a year ago working on the Evo 2 and it's pretty much done and they're going to bring it to market. Well, at least that's the plan. Now, Autel is a company I have followed for a long time and I can tell you I've noticed this. So here's my prediction. Autel works at a snail's pace. In other words, they won't put out a product unless there's large consumer demand. So at CES, they're going to show a drone and they're going to gauge everybody's interest in it and the media. And if it looks really good, then we might see a 1-inch sensor drone, you know, in the summer in July at some point with all those sensors I mentioned and the long flight time. And the camera may be removable so you can go from 6K to 8K. Now, if the interest is not so great or Autel sees that the market is like nobody wants an Evo 2, well, then that may not happen. Now, in the year 2019, I did a video on the Evo saying, is this Evo still relevant? And of course, my conclusion was, yes, it is relevant because it has 0 no-fly zones. And you know, the Evo 2, that's going to be the selling feature if they make it. It has 0 no-fly zones, so you can fly it anywhere. It's great. And at that time, I said that the best thing for Autel would be to make a smaller version of the Evo. You know, maybe compete with the Mavic Air. Well, now that the Mavic Mini's out, they might have dropped that, but you never know. Watch at CES. They might come out with a smaller version of the Evo, lower price, you know, the $600 range, and it might have some cool features. Stay tuned for that. Now, the next big company we're going to take a look at for the year 2020 is Yuneec. Now, in the year 2019, Yuneec launched the Mantis-G, which is this one right here, which was their answer to, you know, the Mavic Air. It's about the same size. A lot more features than the Mavic Air, but the gimbal is only a 2-axis gimbal vice a 3 like on the Mavic Air, but it's a pretty good drone. So check this out. If you don't have one and you're considering one, watch my review on this. They also launched in the year 2019. They rehashed the Typhoon H again, and this time they took their best consumer model Typhoon H and put a Leica camera on that model. So now the Typhoon H has a much better lens than it had before, so it's pretty darn decent. So for those of you out there with the Typhoon H and the Leica lens, you're probably enjoying it quite a bit because I'm pretty sure that's a darn good camera. I even considered it at one time, but I have too many drones as it is. So what are my predictions for Yuneec in the year 2020? Well, since Yuneec has this cooperation with Leica lenses, I can see them coming out with additional lenses for the Typhoon H, or additional cameras, if you will. So you might see the Typhoon H receive many more varieties of lenses to do different types of photography, which will be really good for that line of drones. But unfortunately, I do not see Yuneec introducing a new type of drone. This is their little drone, and they still sell the Breeze, and they still sell that really old Q500 4K. They still sell the old Typhoon H, and the newer Typhoon H, and the new Typhoon H. So they like to rehash old products because they sell. So I don't see Yuneec really coming out with a brand new drone this year, but Yuneec has been known to just surprise us all and prove us all wrong. So, you know, stay tuned for what Yuneec might have to offer. Now, the next company we're going to take a look at is Parrot. Parrot makes some pretty cool drones, but in the year 2019, they really cut back on their consumer division. So they cut staff. So a lot of you out there who are trying to get help for your Parrot drone, well, there's no support staff anymore. And they cut their R&D section, so they're not really developing any new drones. They're basically rehashing old drones. So that's why your Parrot Anafi in the year 2019, you saw like new models coming out. They added a thermal camera to it. They took the same drone and they put out a version with FPV with the goggles, which they've always had the goggles. So they just threw it in a kit to sell this. So what's Parrot gonna do for the year 2020? So my prediction is, since there's not a lot of money for R&D, I think we're going to get more types of Anafi drones out there. I don't know, different colors. Some enhancement's going to happen to the Anafi from Parrot. I can't see them making a brand new drone. Although I have given this some thought in the past. This is the only drone on the market that is very, very light because of the construction of it. Parrot could easily make, if they wanted to, they could make a drone that competes with the DJI Mavic Mini, which is very small, very light, in a very similar form factor to the Parrot Anafi. If they did that, it would sell really well because you'd have some competition for the Mavic Mini, and right now for the Mavic Mini, there is no competition, so you need somebody to come up with a really, really good drone to compete with it. And that could be Parrot. We'll see. And also, Parrot's making a lot of money from their controller because this is the controller from the Anafi, and this is the controller for the Skydio too. Exact same controller. This one has the weight in it, the weight modules in it. This one does not. So this one weighs quite a bit to balance your phone. This one doesn't have it. But either case, Parrot's making a lot of money selling these to Skydio. DJI is the most popular drone company in the entire universe because they sell a lot of drones and their drones are pretty darn good. So what's coming up for 2020? Well, first we have to take a look at 2019. So in 2019, you probably saw that DJI focused on camera gear more, you know, like the Osmo Pocket, Osmo Action, the Ronin, all these goofy little gimbal things. Not so much on the drone side of the house until later in the year where they got rid of my favorite Spark and replaced it with the Mavic Mini. So what is DJI going to do in the year 2020? Well, the first thing they're going to do is they have to put their AirSense technology in all new drones above 250 grams. So the AirSense technology is pretty simple. It basically is if you have an airplane in the air or a helicopter, depending on the size of either, they have a little transmitter in them to identify their location. Your new DJI drone will have a module in it to pick up that location, and it will warn your little software in your DJI Go 4 app or DJI Go 5 app, whatever they come out with, that there is an airplane or a helicopter, you know, a mile away, half a kilometer away. And in some cases, your drone is going to take evasive action if you don't. In other words, it's going to lower itself lower than the actual helicopter or airplane, or it might even land. I don't really know all the details. So DJI is going to put that module in all the new drones that are sold in the year 2020 and beyond. So that means that they're probably going to want to sell a lot of drones, and they're going to rehash the existing drones. So I got a funny feeling we're going to see plus versions of drones. In other words, you'll get the Mavic 2 Pro Plus, Mavic 2 Zoom Plus, Mavic Air Plus, you see where I'm going with this? And the Plus version will basically be the same drone, but you'll have that enhanced system. Now, they know nobody's going to buy it if it just has that, so they have to add something else. So in other words, with the Mavic 2 Pro Plus, they'll probably bump up the camera to 4K 60 frames per second and add some other cool little flight features. Same thing with the zoom, they'll do something there. Same thing with the Mavic Air, because the Mavic Air is getting a little bit weak. So you might see a Mavic Air with a much longer flight time and a few more enhanced features in the year 2020. This also lets DJI release the Phantom 5 and the Inspire 3. Now, when the Phantom 4 Pro and the Inspire 2 were released, they were released at exactly the same time, and I predict that's going to be the case this go around. So if they're released in 2020, you'll see the Inspire 3 and the Phantom 5 at exactly the same time. And I've said for the last 3 years that when the Phantom 5 comes out, it's not going to look like the old Phantom, because the old Phantom design is a curse for DJI, because every media outlet shows that design whenever they talk about drones. So DJI does not want that design associated with anything in the media anymore. And also, you know as well as I do that this is an archaic design for a drone. There's still people who love the Phantom and fly it around because they've learned how to get around all the shortcomings, but you still get the legs in the video. You still get the props in the frame. It has none of the great Mavic autonomous features built into this thing. So I can see the Phantom 5 being not so much like this with the goofy legs hanging down, but sort of like this design and slimmer. DJI has been working on a watch. Let's see, I've got two watches here. They've been working on a watch for some time now that will control your drone. And it's a GPS watch. It has GPS in it. So I could see DJI investing more money into the watch to get it out in the year 2020, because if we all walked around with a watch to control our DJI drones, the watch has GPS plus a signal. So if I walk under trees where the drone can't see me anymore, it will still get a signal from the watch and will still be able to follow me. So that enhances the following abilities of DJI drones. And I guess we'll wait and see. And since we're on the topic of DJI, we have to talk about this. Yes, the DJI FPV system. This is the digital FPV system they came out with in the year 2019. DJI has always been kind of in the FPV world. Now, for a lot of you out there, you probably are confused with FPV because I think DJI has confused the two. There's camera drones and then there's FPV drones. You cannot use these goggles with a Mavic, a Phantom, or anything else because this is for the FPV world. You have to use, for those other drones, you have to use those big, ridiculous goggles that are huge in size because they're not really FPV as per se the hobby of FPV. They're just a way of putting your display in front of your face. Anyways, forget it. I'm not even going to get into it right now. That's for another video. So DJI came out with this system for the people in the FPV hobby world in 2019. So you have the goggles, it's all digital, and you have their little radio, which looks like a Phantom radio, but it's an FPV radio, very different with the removable battery in the back. And then you have their receiver right here and their camera system. The only thing DJI did not do is they did not put all of this in a box. Every DJI drone sold comes in a box. You take it out of the box and you just add your cell phone and go fly. If they made this all in a box, well, then you might get a lot more people in the FPV hobby. So to sum up products for DJI, watch DJI at CES. They're going to give you a lot of hints and they'll show off a lot of their products. Now we're getting close to the end of my predictions, so let me talk about low-cost drones. Low-cost drones are drones that are like $200, $100, inexpensive compared to what's out on the market now. In the year 2019, this came on the market. So this is a 3-axis gimbal, a drone with a 3-axis gimbal. You know, it's all brushless motors. It competes with the Mavic Air in some ways, but not in flight features or anything else. It's really low cost. It's just over $200 US. On the bottom, I'll just flip it over. Takes a micro SD card. I've got the battery out. It's got sensors up here. It's not bad. And this is just over $200. So my prediction for these low cost drones is in the year 2020, we're going to start to see more and more drones that are around the $200 range, $250 range, all with 3-axis gimbals, 4K cameras, 30 frames per second, good range. Yeah, the market is just going to be saturated with those, and people who want to get into the hobby are going to have some really nice drones to buy as a first-time buyer and get something that's decent quality. All right, we're coming to the end of my predictions, and I guess the final prediction is the most obvious: drone regulations. Every year I see the drone regulations for the RC hobby getting stricter and stricter. A lot of people think that the regulations are just there for drones, but no, they're there for RC planes and RC helicopters and everything else. So it really affects a lot of people. The only people that ever get shown in the media are us, the drone pilots. So all I can say is drone regulations are going to get tighter as time goes on. As newer drones come on the market, like the Skydio 2 with the autonomous features, you can already see on YouTube there's some cowboys out there doing some pretty stupid things with it already, trying to see, oh, can I get around this? Will it crash or won't it crash? You've got oncoming cars coming, you've got people walking. That drone, I'm not going to say it's going to kill the hobby, but it might not help the hobby because not of the drone itself, but because of some, as we call them, cowboys out there just going a little too wild with the drone and doing something totally stupid and causing an incident that the FAA or other countries start to take note of, and then we have more restrictions. So fly safe is the answer. Fly safe, always be responsible, and our hobby will be long and prosperous. All right, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have questions that you would like me to answer in future videos, because I have a lot of topics I want to discuss, post them below. If I choose your question, it'll be in the next video. It doesn't matter what the question is. And if I choose it, I will post your question and I will give the answer. All right. So for now, I say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you in future videos with more drone reviews, RC car reviews, because I have snow on the ground and it's pretty cold and I can't fly all the time, so I need an RC car. And in the summertime, I'll throw in some RC boat reviews and different types of technology throughout the year. So stay tuned. See you in the next one. Bye.